Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the YouTube world, CJ Rose is back in the building. Welcome back to the channel. Live and direct, live in effect. Make sure you subscribe to find out what's next. We are here. All right. So, due to what SmackDown gave us about the Elimination Chamber, I have a very, very big problem with it. And we're going to get into it. Let's get into it. Okay, so I feel WWE has now devalued the one thing that actually puts us on a path to WrestleMania. Why? Well, coming out of SmackDown, we learned that there will be a SmackDown Elimination Chamber. Two things, though. Number one, the Universal Championship will not be defended in it. And the second is the person who wins that Elimination Chamber faces Roman Reigns later that night for the title. So, in my mind, I feel like I'm now being told that it's going to be Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Because that's the only thing I can really sit here and think that's why WWE is doing that. Because there's no other reason why that Elimination Chamber should be what it is. I have no idea why the title is not being defended in it. I don't know why somebody has to go through that and then heal up in an hour or two and then face Roman Reigns, who's 100%, then go through anything to have him defend the title like that. I get it, but why? Both Elimination Chambers should give you or paint a picture to let you know what's going to happen at WrestleMania. That's what it should do. Instead, that's not happening. And even so, both of them don't make sense to begin with. Take an understanding. Since 2008, the Elimination Chamber has been a stable where you had 6 of the best on the show compete for a shot at the title at WrestleMania. Since 2008. Understand that. It's been 12 years since this has been going on. And for some reason, in one single year, WWE just devalued this whole entire stipulation. Which is stupid. I don't get it. But I'm trying my best to understand. Because take into an understanding. Edge has not made his decision. In fact, Edge is doing exactly what he did when he won in 2010. Because if you remember, when Edge won the Royal Rumble in 2010, we knew he wanted Jericho. But we didn't know what capacity. So once Jericho won the Elimination Chamber thanks to Shawn Michaels, won the World Heavyweight Championship, went out on Raw the next night, Edge speared him, told us, I'm facing you. Because we knew that. So that's a story. That was a story in itself. We knew Edge was going after Jericho. With this year, Edge is not only doing the same exact thing, because he said himself he's waiting till after Elimination Chamber. Not only is he doing the same exact thing, but we don't know the direction of which WWE is going to go. We don't know if he's going after the WWE Championship or the Universal title, because neither one has a story behind it. Neither one. Mind you, he relinquished the World Heavyweight Championship. Neither one of them are holding the World Heavyweight title. On top of that, if you really think about it, Edge is going to WrestleMania to win a title. Because he relinquished that title, if I'm not mistaken, The date was April 10th or April 11th, 2011. 10 years later, WrestleMania is on both those nights. So he's winning the title on one of those nights. So it's literally 10 years in the making. 10 years since he relinquished it. 10 years since he's been champion. He's going to go to WrestleMania and win it again. The problem is, which title is he going against? And what title is he taking? No matter which direction he go, it doesn't make sense either way. But the Elimination Chamber has made it to that point where now it's worse. Because think about it like this. Let's say Drew McIntyre retains at Elimination Chamber. Let's say he wins, right? Let's say he wins. And Edge goes on Raw and says, I picked Drew McIntyre for WrestleMania. Okay. What about the Universal title? What happens there? At least with that, you could have used the Elimination Chamber as some type of story plot. You could have had Roman in the chamber. You know, he was about, you know, he was facing either Daniel Bryan or Cesaro or whoever in the chamber. They were about to win, but Jey Uso screwed him and whatnot. Then that person goes out on SmackDown, is irate, aggravated. He's like, I should have won if it wasn't for Jey Uso. And then he faces Jey Uso, gets him out the way. Then he calls out the Universal Champion. You know, something like that, you know. And then that's when the WrestleMania plot is created. You have a whole month to build it up. You know, it's something like that. You know what I'm saying? Probably not in that aspect, but something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like now you have a dilemma. Because if Edge picks Roman, he has to say that literally on Raw the next night. He can't say that on SmackDown. He can't. If he wants Roman gotta be there on Raw. He gotta say, I pick Roman. All right. So now we determine who's gonna face Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania that same night. It makes sense. Well, at that point it makes sense, but at this point now it doesn't. And the other issue is, if Edge goes after Roman, who the hell's challenging Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship? You don't have a lot of people to challenge him. Who? Sheamus? If you decided to tell us that Sheamus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship was not good enough for the Elimination Chamber, why the hell is it good enough for WrestleMania? That doesn't make sense. You literally devalued that match already. And that match was already built up already. It was already built up. So 2 weeks ago, the seed was planted like, okay, Drew McIntyre got kicked in the face by Sheamus. Didn't see it coming. Okay, Drew McIntyre says, you want the match, you got it. All right, cool. So let's set that up in the Elimination Chamber. Let him get that out the way. You know, build that up for 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm saying build that up for 2 weeks. Call it a day. Okay. And then Drew McIntyre focuses on Mania after that. Or focuses on Edge's decision. That's it. No. Instead, you put Sheamus and Drew and 4 other people in an Elimination Chamber where if Drew wins and Edge picks Roman, Drew doesn't have an opponent. So now we got to scramble out and figure out who the hell is good enough for Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Actually, they might go a step further and probably find somebody from the past to do that. A John Cena? Probably John Cena, Drew McIntyre if Edge picks Roman. That way Cena could get his 17th title. Because it seems like Drew McIntyre is not leaving WrestleMania as champion. It seems like he's not doing that. And honestly, that's unfair to Drew McIntyre, who had to win the WWE Championship last year with no fans. I'm glad he's going to walk into I'm hoping he's going to walk into WrestleMania with a crowd so we can get a reaction. But if you telling me there's a slight chance he might not walk into WrestleMania as champion. It makes no sense. It really makes no damn sense. So I don't know what direction WWE is gonna go, and that's aggravating because the Elimination Chamber is supposed to give you that. Instead, we got 2 Elimination Chambers with 12 guys, or I'm saying this point 11 because one of them is the WWE champion. 11 of them that I don't believe are going to Mania at all, or at least challenge for the title at Mania. Because think about this. Think about this, right? If Drew McIntyre is not walking into WrestleMania as WWE champion, who out of those 5 are? Who out of those 5 are? The only one that probably makes some shred of sense is Randy Orton. And even that doesn't make sense. Because he won the WWE Championship last year. But you decided to take it off him before Survivor Series. Which made no sense. Because Randy Orton winning the title last year was fine. I was fine with that. But instead, you took it off him because you never had long-term plans for Randy Orton being WWE Champion. Instead, you had Drew McIntyre. You were high favorite on Drew McIntyre, which is fine. It's fine. I'm fine with you being high on Drew McIntyre. The problem was, why did you just decide to allow him to lose the WWE Championship just to get it back? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. So now, we have a situation where Drew may not walk into WrestleMania as WWE Champion. And you have 5 other guys that really don't make sense to walk in as WWE Champion. Because if that's the case, who the hell are they facing? Like, as I said, Randy Orton. But I'll say why Randy Orton is sensible in a minute. Who else we got? We got The Miz, who's Mr. Money in the Bank. Yeah, give him the title. That's stupid. AJ Styles, much as I love AJ Styles, I don't see him winning that title. And even so, who the hell is he defending against? AJ Styles pretty much faced everybody on the Raw roster. There's nobody else to defend the title against. Maybe Keith Lee? Ooh. I mean, that'd be hard. I mean, AJ Styles, Keith Lee at Mania? I'm cool with that, but I don't see that happening. That'd be a great alternate match, though. That'd be a great alternative. Who else we got? We got Jeff Hardy, one of my favorites of all time. Jeff Hardy? They're not going to give it to Jeff Hardy. Why would they give it to Jeff Hardy? Why would they give that match to Jeff Hardy? They would not. Who else? Who's the other person in that match? It's Sheamus. They're not gonna give it to Sheamus. What? Sheamus wins the WWE Championship in the Chamber, and then what happens at Mania? What? Drew gets it back, which would be stupid. Well, that would be their way of saying, well, you didn't see Drew win. No crowd saw Drew win, so let's just do that. No, they're not doing that. And you still devalued Sheamus versus Drew. So why the hell would you even put it on Mania to begin? Why would that even be a plan? You already fucked it up by not having it happen at Elimination Chamber. So boom, you already did stupid shit already. So again, the only sensible person probably in that match, and it still doesn't make sense to win the WWE Championship, is Randy Orton. Because at least they have 2 different ways they can go with that. Randy Orton wins the WWE Championship. He goes out. And then they say, like they go out. Randy Orton says, I'm the WWE Champion. I'm going to Mania, such and such. They can do it 2 different ways. One, they can have Edge come out. Edge chooses Orton. And okay, they finish it. They finish their little thing the right way. Because when they did the night after Royal Rumble, that really wasn't. It was good. It was okay, but it wasn't what it was. At least he'll go out there. At least they'll finish it at Mania for the title. Okay. Or they could have it where Randy Orton wins. He's talking. Then Alexa Bliss comes out. And then she says something like,
the film Bliss was released on February 23rd, 2012.
Thank you. I didn't ask you. Anyway, he goes out, and then, Bliss says, hey, excuse me. Bliss says, hey, he's coming. He's coming back to Mania. And then, they got the Fiend set up. So Randy Orton versus the Fiend. And then the Fiend goes to WrestleMania, challenges Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. And then the Fiend gets his rematch and gets his win back from 2017, where Bray lost to Orton for the WWE Championship. The Fiend gets the WWE title, and they rewrite history, things like that. They could do that. But that still would be stupid. If you're going to do Randy Orton Fiend, fine. But don't do it with the title. Because Bray Wyatt, at this point, doesn't need the title. He's a 3-time world champion already. People forget that already. People forget Bray Wyatt is a 3-time world champion. You forget that. But regardless, there's nothing you could do with Drew McIntyre or the WWE Championship right now that makes sense. So if you're going to do Drew McIntyre Edge, you let Drew McIntyre win an Elimination Chamber. Boom. Then he comes out and Edge challenges him at WrestleMania. But then the problem is, what happens with the Universal title? Who the hell is challenging for the Universal Championship? Because if Drew and Edge is the plan, then Edge has to tell us that the night of. So that way on SmackDown, they got 4 days to figure out exactly who the hell they want to challenge for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Now, SmackDown's Elimination Chamber makes no sense because you have 6 guys who I don't see beating Roman or giving Roman, I can't say a challenge, but I don't see them beating Roman. You got Jey Uso, who's faced Roman twice already, got his ass beat, and they ain't turning Jey on Roman yet. It ain't happening yet. Is it gonna happen? I think it's gonna happen at some point. I don't think it's gonna happen yet. You got Kevin Owens, who got his ass beat 3 times and then gonna go on at the last SmackDown, on the end of SmackDown last night and say, we're not finished. You lost 3 times. What more can you do? What more can you do? You lost 3 times. You're not done yet? You look like an obsessed ex-girlfriend. Cut it. Who else we got? Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn? Challenge for the Universal Championship and then beat Roman? Yo, that's a pipe dream at this point in time. Hell no. King Corbin? As much as I like Baron Corbin, no. Fuck no. So that leaves Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. Now, we want Daniel Bryan to win the Royal Rumble so that way he can challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, and then boom. There you go. Instead, it might not even be Daniel Bryan that wins the Elimination Chamber. It's pretty much probably going to be Cesaro. I feel it might be Cesaro. It should be Cesaro. I would love for it to be Cesaro. But then what? Then what after that? You know what I'm saying? From there, they challenge the same night, which has never happened before. This is the first time ever where you have Elimination Chamber to challenge for a title the same night, not at the flipping biggest pay-per-view of the year. So now that happens, okay. Roman wins, which he will. He ain't losing that Elimination Chamber. You crazy? Okay, he wins. What or who challenges Roman after that? What are we doing? What? We have a rematch with all 6 guys and one of them challenge for the title at Mania? That's even more stupid. Because then what was the purpose of the Elimination Chamber? If you're going to do a rematch of all 6 guys in the damn match, what is the purpose of that? Then it look now the Elimination Chamber is more devalued, worse than it is. And it's going to be that way because that's going to make it hella worse. Because even if Edge picks Roman at WrestleMania or Edge picks Drew McIntyre, one of these title matches is going to feel very devalued because not only do we not know the direction Edge is going to go, but any direction he goes, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. On top of that, I don't even know if Drew McIntyre's walking into as WWE champion. I don't know if that's happening. And if that's the case, I feel like WWE will probably not allow that to happen, only because of the fact, because they just decided to say Drew McIntyre versus Shane for the WWE Championship is not worth Elimination Chamber. So why would it be worth WrestleMania? I get that feeling you take the belt off Drew, then that match has less value, and it's just perfect for Mania because you need matches, and I don't know what the hell WrestleMania even looking like. So it's like, what the hell? I mean, you already know. Like, listen, we're doing Bianca Sasha. We know what Bianca Belair doing. We know that she's not challenging for the Royal Women's Championship. She's not doing that. If WWE does that, not only is that a swerve, but that's weird. Well, it's not weird, but it's like it's a. I don't know. Because Bianca Belair was on Raw, you didn't use her at all, so then you drafted her SmackDown, and then she goes after the Raw Women's Championship. Think about how stupid that sounds. Now, granted, I want Sasha Bayley at Mania. I would love that. It needs to happen. They deserve it. But at the same time, you can't have somebody go on Raw, barely use them on that show, then they go to SmackDown, they flourish on that show, and then you mean to tell me they win a Royal Rumble, and then the title that they choose is the Raw Women's Championship? You mean to tell me she wasn't good enough to challenge for the title? She had to win the Royal Rumble just to get a damn shot? No. It's Bianca Sasha. Period. We have one more week till we figure out what's going on and what's happening. I want to live stream that just to watch it with y'all, so I can have an understanding. So we both can have understanding of what the hell WWE is doing. I would love to do that, but I like being to myself, truthfully. So it's like no offense to nobody, but I like being to myself when I'm watching the pay-per-view, so that way I could get a mental of my own. And I'm gonna continue doing that. But you will know how I feel at the end of the night. You will know how I feel. But it is what it is, man. So until then, it's been Rose, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the love, support. As always, you could have been here. You could have been anywhere else, but you listened to me for 22 minutes. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe. You already know what it is, man. If you ain't subscribed, what are you doing, man? Why are you watching this? Subscribe to me, man. We here. I'm with you. I'm just a fan. But I'm just tired of the stupidness, man. But we here, man. So until next time, peace, love, 100. You're